They called it the Great War, not because it was glorious, but because it was unlike anything the world had ever seen. Between 1914 and 1918, the earth became a factory of death. Nations turned their brightest minds to destruction, and soldiers became numbers in a machine that never stopped grinding. But behind the battles, behind the speeches and the parades were files, reports, diaries, letters, and secrets. These were the Great War files, the hidden record of what really happened when the world fell apart. At first, governments believed they could control the story. Every country painted itself as the hero. Every defeat turned into strategic withdrawal. Newspapers printed victories that never happened. Censorship became a weapon as powerful as any rifle. The truth was buried under layers of ink and silence. In the trenches, the soldiers knew better. Their letters home told a different story of mud, rats, hunger, and fear, of shells that never stopped and comrades who never came back. Many of those letters were intercepted, censored, or destroyed, but some survived, and they reveal the raw heart of a generation swallowed by war. A French soldier wrote, "They tell us we fight for glory, but there is no glory in this mud, only waiting." A German officer confessed, "Every day, I send men to die for a line on a map, and every night I pray that the map changes." And from the British lines came a note that simply said, "If you are reading this, the war has taken me too." These are the voices history tried to forget. Behind the front lines, another kind of war was being fought, the war of intelligence. The first modern spy networks were born during the Great War. Code breakers worked day and night, trying to read the enemy's plans before they unfolded. Messages were hidden in invisible ink, smuggled in loaves of bread, or carried by pigeons flying over the battlefield. One of the most famous files came from Room 40, the British Naval Intelligence Unit that cracked Germany's secret communications. It was here that the famous Zimmermann telegram was decoded, revealing Germany's plan to draw Mexico into war against the United States. That message changed the course of history, pushing America into the fight. Elsewhere, secret reports from the front began to show a terrifying truth. Industrial war could not be won by courage alone. Every attack, every breakthrough came at unimaginable cost. Commanders on both sides sent thousands to their deaths for a few hundred meters of ground. The files reveal the numbers, cold, mechanical, and horrifying. At the Somme, over 1 million men were killed or wounded. At Verdun, 9 months of fighting turned the land into a wasteland of bone and steel. And still, the orders came. Advance. Technology was transforming everything. Machine guns that could fire hundreds of rounds a minute, artillery shells that shattered entire forests, poison gas that drifted silently over the trenches, burning lungs and blinding eyes. Airplanes took to the skies, first for reconnaissance, then to bomb, then to fight each other in deadly duels above the clouds. These innovations were meant to end the war quickly. Instead, they made it endless. The generals and politicians searched for answers. The files from 1916 and 1917 show their desperation. Secret meetings, failed offensives, revolts, and whispers of mutiny. The soldiers were breaking, armies were exhausted, nations were bleeding. In 1917, Russia collapsed into revolution. From the chaos came new documents, orders written by the hands of men who believed they could reshape the world. Peace, land, bread, they promised. But peace was still far away. On the Western Front, the United States entered the war, bringing new strength to the Allies. The Great War files from 1918 tell the story of momentum shifting, German morale fading, the Allies pushing forward, but the cost never lessened. Every victory was built on bodies. Then came November 11th, 1918. The guns fell silent. The files of that day speak of disbelief, soldiers staring at each other across no man's land, not sure whether to cheer or cry. Some wept, others simply sat in silence. The war was over, but the files did not close. They grew heavier with every signature on the treaties that followed. The Treaty of Versailles ended the fighting but began the resentment. Its harsh terms was meant to punish Germany, only planted the seeds for the next catastrophe. In the quiet rooms where the documents were signed, The next war had already begun. For those who lived through it, the Great War was not history. It was a scar that never healed. Entire towns disappeared. Families lost generations. The old world, the empires, the monarchies, the illusions, collapsed into dust. And yet from the ruins came new lessons. Some learned them, others ignored them. The Great War files are more than paper. They are memory, they are warning. They remind us that truth is always the first casualty and pride the last to die. Every faded page tells the same story, that progress without humanity leads to ruin, and that every empire eventually writes its own obituary. The soldiers are gone, the trenches are overgrown, the nations that once fought are allies now, but the files remain, silent witnesses to what we became when the world forgot to listen. These are the Great War files, and this is the War Tales.